You're listening to Underground USA News.
Wednesday, August 27, 2025, President Trump has advocated for the implementation of the death penalty for all murder convictions in Washington, D.C., emphasizing that such stringent measures are essential to combat the alarming rise in violent crime that has plagued the city under previous lenient policies. This proposal, which underscores Trump's commitment to protecting American communities from escalating threats, would empower federal authorities to override local restrictions on capital punishment, ensuring that justice is swift and severe for those who take innocent lives. Supporters hail it as a vital deterrent that could significantly reduce homicide rates, drawing on evidence from jurisdictions where similar tough policies have yielded positive results, while opponents decry it as an overreach that undermines DC's home rule. Though data indicates that current soft approaches have only fueled disorder, accompanying this initiative are plans to bolster police presence and deploy additional resources, reflecting a broader conservative strategy to prioritize public safety over bureaucratic hurdles. A shooting at Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis on August 27, 2025, claimed the lives of 2 children, aged 8 and 10, and injured 17 others, including 14 children, during a morning mass. The shooter, a man in his early 20s with no significant criminal history, fired a rifle, shotgun, and pistol through church windows before taking his own life in the rear of the church. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara described the act as a deliberate and cowardly attack on innocent children. The community is reeling, with Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey expressing profound grief and calling for prayers, while federal and local authorities, including the ATF and FBI, are investigating the motive and circumstances. This horrific event, occurring on the first week of school, underscores the urgent need for a concerted effort to control violence in our nation's urban areas. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has revealed the discovery of burn bags containing documents related to alleged corruption in the 2020 presidential election, raising concerns about efforts to conceal critical information from the public. Speaking alongside President Trump, Gabbard confirmed that these sensitive documents, found tucked away in safes and offices, point to deliberate attempts to obscure the truth about the election's integrity. She emphasized the significant harm caused by such actions and vowed to brief the president once all evidence is collected. This revelation follows earlier findings by FBI Director Kash Patel, who uncovered similar documents tied to the Trump-Russia probe, suggesting a broader pattern of hidden information within government agencies. While these claims fuel debates over election transparency, critics urge caution, noting the need for thorough verification to ensure accountability without politicization. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has reportedly ended its relationship with Arabella Advisors, a major player in managing liberal dark money networks accused of funneling millions to progressive causes, including protest groups tied to the No Kings movement. This decision follows heightened scrutiny from conservative watchdogs and political figures, including President Trump's call for RICO charges against similar funding networks like those linked to George Soros, highlighting concerns over their influence on political activism. The move reflects growing tensions over the role of billionaire-backed philanthropy in shaping political landscapes, with critics arguing that such networks prioritize ideological agendas over public welfare. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan's legal battle continues as a federal judge rejected her motion to dismiss charges related to her alleged assistance in helping an illegal immigrant, Flores Ruiz, evade U.S. immigration agents at her courthouse in April 2025. Dugan, accused of directing the individual through a non-public exit to avoid arrest, faces a misdemeanor charge of concealing an individual and a felony charge of obstruction. The case, which echoes a dismissed Massachusetts case from the first Trump administration, underscores tensions between federal immigration enforcement and local judicial authority, with critics arguing it's an attempt to deter judges from opposing deportation efforts. U.S. District Judge Lynn Adelman's ruling allows the case to proceed, potentially heading to the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and raising questions about judicial immunity and state sovereignty. In a closely watched special election in Iowa's 1st Senate District, Democrat Catalin Dre secured a victory over Republican Christopher Presch, with 55% of the vote to 44%, flipping a Republican-held seat previously occupied by the late Senator Rocky DeWitt, and effectively ending the GOP's long-standing two-thirds supermajority in the state Senate, reducing their edge to 33-17, and complicating Governor Kim Reynolds' ability to confirm nominees without bipartisan support. This marks the second such flip for Democrats in Iowa this year, following Mike Zimmer's January upset in another Trump-won district, and comes despite the state's solid Republican dominance in statewide offices and Congress, where low-turnout special elections often favor highly motivated voters rather than reflecting broader trends. While national Democrat organizations poured significant resources, including 30,000 volunteers and substantial funding, into the race, as noted by Iowa GOP Chairman Jeff Kaufman, the outcome illustrates the challenges Republicans face in defending even conservative-leaning seats amid ongoing economic pressures like affordability in housing and childcare. Though conservatives maintain that such anomalies in off-year contests do not signal a shift in Iowa's fundamental red state status heading into the 2026 midterms. Dre, a 37-year-old Sioux City resident, will serve the remainder of the term until January 2027, prioritizing issues like fully funding public schools and lowering costs for working families in a district Donald Trump carried by 11 points in 2024. California Republicans have filed a second lawsuit against Governor Gavin Newsom's congressional redistricting plan, known as Proposition 50, arguing it violates the state constitution by bypassing the Independent Citizens Redistricting Commission established by voters in 2008 and 2010. The legal action, filed with the California Supreme Court, contends that the Democrat-led effort to redraw congressional maps mid-decade to counter Texas's Republican redistricting lacks transparency and undermines the will of Californians who supported nonpartisan map drawing. The lawsuit highlights concerns over the rushed legislative process and the potential for partisan gerrymandering, which could disrupt fair representation and erode public trust in the electoral system. This follows a previous failed attempt to block the plan on procedural grounds, with critics arguing it's a power grab by Democrats to secure 5 additional House seats. A Utah District Court judge has ruled that the state's Republican-drawn congressional map from 2021 violates voter-approved safeguards against partisan gerrymandering, ordering lawmakers to redraw boundaries by September 24, 2025, ahead of the 2026 midterms. The decision, rooted in the legislature's override of a 2018 voter initiative establishing an independent redistricting commission, reinstates standards to ensure fair district lines. While this ruling disrupts Republican plans for a clean sweep of Utah's congressional seats, it also highlights ongoing national tensions over redistricting, with states like Texas and California engaging in similar battles. Critics argue the decision risks judicial overreach, but supporters see it as a defense of voter intent. In a striking display of internal discord at the Democrat National Committee's summer meeting in Minneapolis, Party Chairman Ken Martin initially advanced a resolution advocating for unrestricted humanitarian aid to Gaza, an immediate ceasefire, the release of hostages, and a two-state solution, only to abruptly withdraw it after vocal complaints from anti-Israel toxic left progressives, who deemed it insufficiently punitive toward America's key ally. This reversal came after the committee rejected a more radical proposal for an arms embargo and suspension of U.S. military aid to Israel, underscoring the deepening fractures within the Democrat Party, where radical elements prioritize weakening Israel's defenses over fostering genuine peace and security in the region. While the move allows for further debate via a new task force, it highlights a troubling trend of Democrat leaders yielding to the toxic far-left fringe, potentially alienating moderate voters and pro-Israel supporters who value America's long-standing commitment to combating terrorism and promoting stability in the Middle East. In a bold move to safeguard innovation, Silicon Valley tech leaders have launched political action committees to oppose stringent AI regulations at both state and federal levels, arguing that excessive oversight could stifle technological advancement and economic growth. The initiative, backed by prominent figures in the tech industry, aims to promote a positive, forward-looking agenda for AI innovation, emphasizing the need for policies that balance safety with the freedom to develop cutting-edge technologies. Critics of strict regulations warn that heavy-handed government intervention could cede America's AI leadership to global competitors, and stress the importance of fostering an environment where innovation can thrive without bureaucratic constraints. This development reflects Silicon Valley's growing political influence as it seeks to shape the future of AI policy in the U.S. A secretive organization founded by tech mogul Peter Thiel and entrepreneur Auren Hoffman, known as Dialogue, is reportedly planning a significant expansion by establishing a permanent campus in Northern Virginia near Washington, D.C., often likened to a modern-day Bilderberg group for its exclusive, invite-only gatherings of tech and political heavyweights. Dialogue's move signals a deepening intent to shape the political landscape beyond the current Trump administration. Critics warn that the group's secretive nature and influential attendees, like Elon Musk, Eric Schmidt, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, could amplify concerns about unchecked power among tech elites, especially as they discuss controversial topics like AI, healthcare, and global governance behind closed doors. This development raises questions about transparency and the growing nexus of tech and political influence in an era of declining public trust in institutions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky recently declared that Ukraine no longer requires U.S. permission to conduct long-range missile strikes on Russian territory, signaling a shift in Kyiv's military strategy amid escalating tensions. Speaking at a press conference, Zelensky emphasized Ukraine's growing autonomy in decision-making, citing domestically developed weapons and increased support from European allies. This development has raised concerns about potential escalation in the ongoing conflict, with critics warning of the risks of broader regional instability without U.S. oversight. While some view this as a bold step toward Ukrainian self-reliance, others question the strategic wisdom of bypassing coordination with a key ally given the complex geopolitical stakes involved. A Russian assault on a coal mine in eastern Ukraine's Belozersk, near Dobrapilya, has left nearly 150 miners trapped underground, highlighting the brutal human and economic cost of Moscow's ongoing aggression. The attack, which caused a power outage, killed one worker and injured 3 others, with rescue efforts underway to free the 146 trapped miners. The incident, occurring just 15 kilometers from the front lines in Donetsk, underscores the precarious situation for Ukraine's industrial operations as the nation battles Russian advances while striving to maintain critical infrastructure. This tragedy serves as a grim reminder of the broader strategic and humanitarian challenges posed by the invasion, now in its 3rd year with no resolution in sight. A 14-year-old Scottish girl was arrested in Dundee after brandishing a knife and axe, reportedly to protect her 12-year-old sister from a man filming and harassing them, sparking debate over self-defense and public safety. The incident, captured on video, shows the distressed teen confronting the man who some social media accounts claim was a migrant with inappropriate intentions, though official police statements remain vague, focusing only on the girl's possession of bladed weapons. Critics argue the authorities' response highlights a troubling prioritization of political correctness over citizen safety, especially as knife crime among youths rises, with 91 minors caught carrying blades in Scotland in 2024 alone. Supporters of the girl, including prominent voices on X, view her as a symbol of heroic resistance against unchecked immigration policies, raising questions about why the man filming was not charged. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the expulsion of Iran's ambassador and the designation of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization, following credible intelligence from the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation linking Iran to anti-Semitic arson attacks in Sydney and Melbourne in 2024. The attacks, targeting a kosher deli and a synagogue built by Holocaust survivors, were described as deliberate attempts to sow discord and undermine Australia's social cohesion. This rare diplomatic action, the first ambassador expulsion since World War II, reflects Australia's firm stance against foreign-orchestrated aggression on its soil amid heightened tensions following Iran's rejection of the allegations and strained relations with Israel over Canberra's recognition of a Palestinian state. On August 24, 2025, the Libyan Coast Guard opened fire on the Ocean Viking, a Norwegian-flagged humanitarian vessel operated by SOS Mediterráneo, while it was searching for a migrant boat in distress in international waters, approximately 40 nautical miles north of Libya's coast. The attack, which involved 15 to 20 minutes of gunfire including automatic weapons, caused significant damage to the ship's bridge, windows, and rescue equipment, though no casualties were reported among the 87 rescued migrants or crew. The incident, condemned as outrageous by SOS Mediterráneo, highlights ongoing concerns about the Libyan Coast Guard's reckless behavior despite receiving EU training and equipment, including the patrol boat used in the attack, donated by Italy in 2023. Critics argue this event illustrates the need for stricter oversight of EU-funded operations and a reassessment of support for Libya's Coast Guard, which has a history of human rights violations and disregard for international maritime law. In a significant boost to American industry, South Korean conglomerates, including Korean Air and Hyundai, have committed to a $150 billion investment in the United States following a summit between Presidents Trump and Lee Jae-myung. The deals, which include Korean Air's $50 billion purchase of 103 Boeing aircraft and Hyundai's $26 billion expansion for auto and robotics facilities, aim to create 25,000 jobs and strengthen bilateral economic ties. This strategic move, secured after negotiations to reduce tariffs on Korean goods from 25% to 15%, underscores a pragmatic approach to fostering a manufacturing renaissance with cooperation in high-tech sectors like semiconductors and AI. While questions remain about the overlap with a prior $350 billion investment pledge, the agreements signal robust confidence in America's economic future under strong leadership. As Venezuela's economy spirals further into chaos with the bolivar losing over 70% of its value since October 2023, and inflation soaring to 229% by May 2024, citizens are increasingly turning to cryptocurrencies like USDT for survival. From small shops to large retailers, stablecoins are becoming a lifeline for transactions, remittances, and preserving wealth amid hyperinflation and government crackdowns on black market dollar exchanges. Venezuela ranks 13th globally in crypto adoption, with a 110% increase in usage over the past year, driven by necessity due to low wages, foreign currency shortages, and restricted banking access. However, U.S. sanctions and poor internet connectivity pose challenges, while the government's inconsistent stance on digital currencies, marked by the failed Petro project, underscores the resilience of decentralized platforms like Binance and Airtem in filling the economic void.
You're listening to Underground USA News.